Blog Talk Radio.
Welcome to the AME Food Testing Show. Today's topic, the food safety importance of an on-site washing system for tote, bins, and trays, is an interview with Henry Catalan, Operations Officer at Jayleaf of Hollister, California. Henry is the Chief Operations Officer at Jayleaf in Hollister. He received his bachelor's degree in business administration with a concentration in organizational management at San Jose State University in San Jose, California. He oversees all operations in every department, including but not limited to production, quality assurance, quality control, shipping, engineering, and administration. He's completely dedicated himself to food production and the industry with the main focus on food safety. So without further ado, we will now introduce Henry. Henry, are you available?
Yes, I am. How you doing, Andy?
Great. Hey, would you like to add anything to that introduction?
No, I think you've said exactly what I do.
Wonderful. Well, today's discussion is on the food safety philosophy at Jayleaf. We'd like to begin with that and then work our way into your innovative process that your team has developed for the washing of the bins and totes. So if you could begin with the food safety philosophy at Jayleaf.
Sure, Andy. Well, first off, we do have a very dedicated staff that does involve themselves with our philosophy, which is providing the safest product possible through a continual process of minimizing risk. And we continually are learning new ideas and going to new trainings that can provide us new insights on how to provide a safer product. And with the idea that we know we cannot reach 100% risk-free process. So with that said, our philosophy with continuing the minimizing the risk creates projects every single day, looking at our process and bettering our process on a day-to-day basis. So there is no end, so to speak.
Wonderful. As you look at the products that you're providing, there are some inherent risks in leafy green products, salads, and greens in general. Can you review those pathogen issues?
Sure. When I first started to really dive into these risks, it's a little mind-boggling, and it's just tough to grasp when we're trying to obtain that minimal amount of risk. We're talking about a product that is not cooked before consumption. The foodborne pathogens inherent in the areas it's being grown. We're talking about fields out in the open with risk to animal activity. The irrigation source of the growing fields, soil amendments that are being applied to the product, and human introduction, just to name a few, are those risks inherent in salads and greens. The processes to minimize those risks are effective, but are still, believe it, very, very tough to grasp. If I can backtrack a little bit, speaking on the water source, if it's being tested once a month per certain standards, there are risks in the other days of the month that may be apparent in those days of irrigation. So in turn, I mean, the pathogens that can be present from the fields and then brought into the process, since we cannot provide a kill step of cooking, with heat treatment, then it makes it very difficult to obtain that complete kill or 100% guarantee. And I think this is something that everyone in our industry struggles with, and continues to strive to provide solutions for the problem, especially with the incidents that have happened in the past in 2001 with spinach and E. coli and salmonella outbreaks. There has been a lot more focus on trying to control these foodborne pathogens. And even certain, I've looked up the World Health Organization studies, and UC Davis and all these universities who keep putting out articles on how to minimize the control. There still is that difficult step that we cannot have that 100% kill, like if you had a cook step, or say you baked chicken in an oven for a certain amount of time at 165 degrees, and you can guarantee some type of kill step. But with our process, we're trying to minimize, and that's the end goal.
You brought up a couple of great points there, Henry. The number one is that there is no kill step, and number two, that the entire industry is struggling with these issues. Primarily, pathogens of interest are bacterial, E. coli, salmonella, listeria, and that every organization that markets these products is struggling with these issues. So as we look at those questions, what are some of the things that food producers can do on the issue of importance of food safety? How do they place that already in all the other things they're doing?
Can you repeat the question? You're asking
sure.
What are they doing now?
Food safety, what are they doing right now?
Mm-hmm. Well, a lot of the steps that, it's industry standard wide, that is one, recognizing risks within the process, from whether it's out in the fields where it's being grown, or whether it's during the step transporting it to the facility, or when it is here in the facility. Those risks need to be addressed, and then programs be put in place to control those risks. Who's monitoring these risks? How do we make sure that it doesn't happen, or if it does happen, do we have corrective action to ensure it gets taken out the process, or ensure that it's not going to contaminate the rest of the product? And those are typical processes that need to be looked at as well for the rest of the industry.
Very good. So you mentioned that a lot of food producers in the leafy green arena do check the water that's used to irrigate. They also have some kind of treatment or cleaning the product during its processing, and some of them even check to see if those organisms or those pathogens are on the product itself. Let's chat for a minute about your particular innovation at your facility and what actually motivated your team to investigate the idea of an on-site washing system for the tote bins and trays.
Sure. Well, when doing the analyzation of our risks in our process, we took the same programs that we've implemented for our product, ensuring that our machinery is washed daily. Every contact surface that has in contact with product is being washed daily to ensure that if there isn't a contaminant, there isn't a risk that it's going to recontaminate more and more product. And with that same idea, we put our focus on our totes, and we wanted to guarantee on our side that we know the product that's going into our facility is brought in by totes that are being used one time and then washed, and guaranteed that they are clean and we're not recontaminating more and more product. And that was just a fear that if these weren't cleaned properly and they weren't cleaned daily, then if we do have that one incident of a foodborne pathogen, that it will keep on contaminating lot after lot after lot. And it just made sense. I mean, from the harvest of the product, the knives and the harvest machines used by our growers are being washed and sanitized daily. They're being verified by ATP tests, and our production line is in the same process, has the same standards. I know there's pre-inspections before using the machinery, and it just makes sense to put that piece with our totes as well. And that was our conclusion when thinking about how to control this risk as a recontaminant or cross-contamination.
Excellent. Henry, your explanation of a bin and tote, for those that aren't familiar with them, can you describe them in their size and dimension and their purpose?
Sure. The size and dimension, they're pretty much plastic totes that are stacked, some 24 to a pallet, some 40 to a pallet. They hold about 15 to 20 pounds worth of product, of leafy green product. There are about, I would say, 36 inches in height, and as well as 24 inches in width and length, square around. I could be a little off. I don't have the exact dimensions, but give or take, that's what the totes are holding. So they're being filled with product and brought to our facility daily.
So in the process, out in your production area in the fields, the employees place the product into these containers, these vessels, we'll call them totes and bins and trays, and then what happens?
Then they get placed into a refrigerated truck, which is hauled to our production facility, and it gets brought into our production facility and it gets put on our production line.
And then after that dispersal of the product into your process, then what happens to the tote? Does it go out to your system?
Correct. So as we're processing, we're bringing them out and washing them at that moment. So in the same amount of totes that we're processing, we're washing on that day. And it gets brought out, it's set on to our workers that work on this specific line. And they take it out one at a time. They'll dunk it into a tank with 16 ounces of detergent to loosen up any organic matter. That will brush a quick brush around the inside of the tote, and then throw it on to the conveyor. And the conveyor will take it through these sets of nozzles, which have two independent tanks. One tank with our disinfectant, our sanitizer, and the last tank with the rinse step. And these high pressure nozzles will take off any organic material and also sanitize as well on the first tank step. And then on the second set of nozzles, it'll rinse the product. And once it comes out of the other end, then it gets placed onto further stacking, and then we wrap the tote pallet already clean to protect it from any any contamination from the elements before it gets shipped back to the grower and they harvest again.
So that's done every single time a tote is brought to your facility, and the contents are disgorged, and then it's cleaned. That is an innovation which I laud your team a great deal of credit. Can you review for our audience the technical specifications of the system, the design, how you costed it out, its throughput, and some of the maintenance steps? Because you just didn't go to Walmart and buy it.
Oh, no. Well, we do have the close friend of the family business. He is an engineer. He does do a lot of side projects for other companies in our industry. We're very familiar with other production lines. And when we had this idea, we also had 2 wash tanks, smaller wash tanks from prior processing lines that were not in use. And we also had a belt system that was not in use. So we gave him those items, and he was able to modify the 2 individual tanks along with that belt into the system. And it's powered by 2 high-pressure water pumps, 4 horsepower each, and it's pushed through these 8 sets of nozzles each step, and with a fine exit for the nozzle tips, so that creates a high pressure force and removes organic material a lot easier. So he took on a lot of the engineering and the design. He's a very talented guy, and so we worked together to engineer what we have now.
Amazing. So he contributed to the design, and I assume that your team also contributed to the operational design and the configuration. It's almost like a mini car wash for these totes or these bins. And what is the estimate that you have in round numbers as far as the cost?
Well, if you're starting from scratch, the pumps alone are about $6,000, give or take, and including all the material, you're probably looking about 10 to 15,000 in material, and if it gives you a good price, I'm sure you're in the $15,000 to maybe $20,000 range, give or take. Because we do have some safety mechanisms on the system that does not allow the pumps to turn on if it's not full. So there's sensors on the system. There's these kill switches. We have a control board that we've put on it, as you can see in one of the pictures. So it has a somewhat of an investment, but in the end, the payback is just minimizing your risk. And I'm sure, as everyone else in our industry feels, that it's very hard to put a price on something like that.
Great. How many totes or bins can it do in a certain set of time?
We're doing about 400 bins an hour.
That's an impressive throughput.
Mm-hmm.
Is there any specific maintenance that your team does during the course of a run?
During the course of a run, we're checking the water levels to make sure that our sanitizer levels are correct. So that's done on a routine basis, and as well as we have filters in the piping so that the small amounts of leaves aren't clogging up the small nozzles, and so that gets cleaned out probably about every 2 hours or so. And that's the daily cleaning of it at the end of the day. And so we treat it just like any other machinery inside of our processing facility, and it's being washed properly every day. But it's a very new system, so we haven't found any big issues thus far.
Great. It's quite an innovation, Henry, as I think about alternatives. Let's say somebody can't afford to spend that money. Then you'd have to have people that would be available with, say, brushes and some kind of air spray to do 400 bins or totes an hour. That's quite a challenge. And then the other alternative is not to wash them every single time. So there's sort of don't do anything, do something manually, or create something. And it seems like your team has put together an excellent solution for this challenge. Can I just ask briefly if you could generally talk about how the system has improved food safety at your facility?
In the end, I said in the beginning with our philosophy, when we're trying to achieve that 99.999, put a line over that the top of that last 9 and try to get to that point where we can minimize that risk up to thousandths of a decimal, and we feel that we've capped just another set of risks. I mean, it's not 100% again, but I mean we did our verification steps, and it does have quite a nice kill step in seeing the TPC of the end wash tote and looking at it at the pre-step before it's being washed. So it's given a little bit of peace of mind as well, because I'm sure again everyone in our industry can relate, and it's a stressful thought to think that you can will contaminate or hurt someone who consumes your product, and the value of that, I mean, it's in the end it's pretty priceless. I mean, you can't put a price on a life. So if this helped us achieve that end goal, then we feel pretty successful about it.
Well, Henry, you bring up 2 great points. One of them is I know a lot of food production managers that have a hard time sleeping at night.
Yes.
Debating this issue.
I can relate.
What else to do to make a safe product? And on the other hand, you also bring up the issue that people are encouraged to eat fresh, leafy green products, lettuce. And let's talk for a minute about your products. What kind of products does Jayleaf produce, and what market segment are they looking at?
We're producing salad mixes and greens, so we're talking about spring mix and special spring mix blends, spinach, wild arugula, baby arugula. Those are our main products. We do a little bit of baby heads and 2 items of herbs, but specifically we're focused on those items, and we market only to food service distributors, so restaurants, and our customers distribute to restaurants and hospitals. We're not in the retail market. We have a nice niche, and we were able to market our product to these companies who have the needs of a little more flexible, so to say, in what we can provide. But that's pretty much what we do.
And you also have a specialty in organic products, I understand. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
Can you review what organic is compared to non-organic type fresh leafy greens?
Sure. From the farm point of view, and since we know we are purveyors, I'm not too familiar with the farm point of view, but I can say that per the National Organic Program, there is certain applications that are prohibited, certain pesticides, insecticides, and herbicides that cannot be used in synthetic fertilizers as well. Treated seeds as well are not acceptable in the organic program, and again, commingling with conventional grown products as well are not. It's not permitted. Excuse me. And so in the farm aspect, that's what really entails the program there and makes it organic as a raw product. Once it's processed, then there's certain limitations that you again can use or do in the process. One being there's certain levels of residual at the end of the process. Being under 4 parts per million free chlorine as a residual of the product, and not processing it with conventional product or processing it after a conventional run, just basically not contaminating it with any chemical residuals that will lose its organic integrity, and make sure that it's labeled properly and sent to the market, and it's organic. I mean, definitely you have to be certified as well. There is agencies that will certify you organic, so they'll look at your process steps to ensure that you're doing what the National Organic Program has set in place, and make sure that your source is also doing those steps, and you get certification.
Very good. Henry, it's been an actual pleasure to learn about your technology, your innovation, and your desire and philosophy at Jayleaf to produce the absolute safest product for the market. And I'm sure your customers appreciate it, as well as the eventual consumers. Would you like to add anything else to our interview?
I guess I kind of wanted to touch base a little bit about this and anyone else listening, about our focus as well on training. I didn't get a chance to speak a little bit about our training, because in the end we were talking about people who are handling our product, and they are the ones who are, again, on the front line, so to say. So they're the ones who are working our tote machines and tote washing systems, and they're on the production line, and I think that's what I wanted to add to our philosophy of training, and how we feel that in the end we need to develop our staff as to be experts. As you know, I don't consider myself 100% an expert, but to have the knowledge that I have, so they can make the proper decisions on the floor, and as well as training for myself and continual development for the executive staff, to make sure that we're providing the proper training for them and at the highest level. So, you know, it's great to be able to broaden their mindsets and develop them. And, you know, again, we have great ownership here at Jayleaf, and, you know, all the owners are on board for everything we need, you know, when it comes down to food safety and to make our product safe. So with that type of mentality, that philosophy, and a well-trained staff, you know, we're confident that we're doing everything we need to do. And it helps me sleep at night.
Well, Henry, you've given us a fascinating insight into a dynamic organization that has focused on food safety, is in a market that has a number of inherent challenges, but has taken on those challenges and has brought in innovation and cost-effective solutions to the very complex challenges involved in producing safe food. I'd like to thank you for your participation today and wish you a good day.
All right. Thank you, Andy. I appreciate you calling me for this interview.
Thank you very much. Have a great day. Bye now.
Bye-bye.